The air turned freezing cold as the first sirens pierced the midnight silence, signaling a catastrophe nobody believed would actually happen.
Warning! Missile trajectory confirmed. Impact in 3 minutes.
What is the meaning of this?
We can't stop it, sir. We are locked
Suddenly,
out.
defensive radars across the entire Gulf went completely blind, exposing a vulnerability that generals realized too late was a trap. But fear was instantly replaced by the deafening roar of supersonic jet engines, cutting through the night to change history forever. This is the devastating, untold reality of the 2026 Iran war, how it changed the Middle East forever. For decades, secret intelligence agencies tracked deep underground facilities, knowing a singular spark would eventually ignite this massive powder keg. However, diplomacy completely collapsed when naval blockades threatened to strangle global oil supplies.
We must secure the shipping lanes immediately.
Pulling the fleet into that choke point is reckless, Admiral. We need to wait.
They anticipate
forcing
this.
leaders to choose total escalation. He felt the strategic trap closing around his nation, realizing that signing the mobilization order meant entering a war of no return.
Meanwhile, opposing forces braced for impact, relying on asymmetric proxy networks to strike back at critical infrastructure hubs worldwide.
But behind closed doors, Allied planners finalized Operation Epic Fury, a high-stakes campaign designed to dismantle enemy air defenses in hours.
Get me out of the market now! Sell everything!
It's crashing too fast.
Meanwhile,
We're completely
opposing
exposed.
forces braced for impact, relying on asymmetric proxy networks to strike back at critical infrastructure hubs worldwide. Suddenly, global markets plunged into absolute chaos as panic spread, proving that modern wars are fought on screens before battlefields. But the true opening salvo was completely invisible, as devastating cyber strikes crippled regional power grids, leaving cities entirely defenseless. However, as the digital fog settled, the chilling reality became clear: the conventional onslaught was about to unleash absolute devastation. Suddenly, the horizon erupted. Iron met iron. The ground vibrated violently as thousands of hidden air defense systems fired simultaneously. The suffocating smell of burning sulfur filled the air. Armored columns pressed forward, blindly charging directly into a brutal crossfire. But the battlefield evolved instantly. Hundreds of cheap autonomous drones swarmed capital warships, overwhelming sophisticated defensive systems with ease. He felt the cold sweat pour down his spine.
It's all static!
The communication lines were dead. The unit was completely cut off. However, a critical turning point arrived when Special Forces launched a daring nighttime assault to capture vital underground command nodes. The shockwave shattered glass miles away. Energy infrastructure crumbled instantly, severing the economic lifeblood of the entire global economy.
Suppressing fire, move to the next building.
Every single alleyway became a meat grinder. The terrifying vibration of heavy artillery impacts shook the teeth inside their skulls. The sheer volume of fire was unprecedented. Strategic centers melted away under a relentless, calculated bombardment that lasted for weeks. Their spirits were entirely broken. The relentless machinery of modern high-tech warfare had reduced human endurance to its absolute limit. Finally, the guns fell silent as a desperate, fragile ceasefire was signed, bringing an end to the initial conventional onslaught. But the silence left behind is deafening, revealing a scarred landscape that will take generations to rebuild from the ashes. Millions of lives were permanently shattered, proving once again that the true cost of war is never paid by politicians. However, the geopolitical balance has shifted irrevocably, leaving old alliances completely dead and creating dangerous new centers of global power. The environmental devastation remains an open wound, a toxic reminder of the lengths humanity will go to secure dwindling resources. Shadows of the conflict linger deeply in the hearts of survivors, who look toward an uncertain future with profound dread. Because victory is ultimately an illusion when the price of peace requires transforming entire nations into heavily fortified open-air prisons. History reminds us that violence merely seeds the ground for future wars, leaving the deep roots of hatred entirely untouched. In the end, the shadows of war swallow all glory, leaving only ghosts to wander the ruins of forgotten empires.